Howdy, partners. Hey. Get ready to get
sad.
Oh, I was gonna say get happy, but
Okay.
No, we can try. We're gonna play through Depression Quest.
Wait, we have to stop playing.
Oh, if you're suicidal, I'm not suicidal. Are you suicidal?
I hope not.
Oh, honey. No.
Let's play.
Okay. Legit though, apparently this game is quite intense. Both of us have terrible, really crappy depression. However, we're both taking medication and we both have each other as our own support system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not codependent. I don't know what you're talking about. But for real, we both have things in place to take care of ourselves emotionally. And and I know I'm also actively working on doing some other things for myself. So if you are severely depressed and are having trouble with things, A, I'm sorry, bro. We're here for you. And B, maybe not best to put yourself through this.
And C, get ready to feel worse.
Let's view the controls.
View the controls?
You want to view the controls? I want to view the controls.
What are the controls? They're the mouse. You can use a controller?
Oh my god.
Why aren't we using a controller?
Let's not.
What?
What? We're in the menu now.
What?
Okay.
Let's
do
weird.
this.
Okay. Let's dance it.
It is early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex, who you are rather fond of, that you've been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what it means and how to go about it. You're also dealing with motivation issues, sometimes making dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people deal with these feelings and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. You met Alex through a mutual friend a few months back. Two of you hit it off pretty well that first night, and after a series of initially awkward dates, you finally became a couple, much to your surprise and excitement. Alex is 3 months younger than you are, and is currently a student with a part-time job and a broad social circle. She's also got a wide variety of interests, and oftentimes you worry that you might be too boring for her. But she has been good at trying to reassure you that she's happy with you. Your relationship consists of a lot of nights in watching Netflix when you've both got time off work and she doesn't have classes, the occasional social outing that she tends to have to talk you into attending. She tries to be understanding when you're in one of your moods, as she puts it, though you're starting to feel like she doesn't understand what it's like for you. And this is a source of tension in your relationship. Coupled with your reluctance to want to go to college parties, this feeds your worry of not being exciting enough for them. Oh man. Social circle, let's do it. Your social circle is made up of a few close friends, some of which you've known from high school, and some from jobs that you've worked. You've also made various acquaintances through reluctantly going to social events with Alex, and you keep in touch with a few friend of friends that you occasionally run into. You have several online friends that you talk to regularly, that you feel less guarded with, possibly due to communicating from the safety of being behind the keyboard. You enjoy the low commitment of the friendship since they don't expect very much of you, other than to listen and share personal thoughts and experiences.
Ouch, right in the authenticity.
Ooh. Despite the low commitment, you feel very connected with these people and tend to be more honest with them than you interact with people in real life on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I don't, like, let me just reread that real quickly before I... The low commitment of friendships. I guess that's the case, yeah. Online friendships are weird because you can pick them up and drop them off at the tip of a hat, but you can be so emotionally invested in it as well. Yeah. You feel incredibly nervous trying to make new friends on your own and are very good at talking yourself out of going to unfamiliar places or larger social engagements, regardless of how much you may actually want to attend. Meeting new people stresses you out to a high degree, and this is something you wish you could work past. You admit you have a bad habit of flaking on social engagements, even with longtime friends, I was puzzled as to why some days you just can't force yourself to go see the people that you really do care about. Those that have stuck around long enough to be that close to you understand that this is a thing you sometimes do and have seemed to more or less accept it even though they charge you for it on occasion. However, you've had friends in the past give up trying to maintain a friendship with you because of this trait, taking your social anxieties as a personal slight or eventually getting tired of trying to track you down all the time. You feel incredibly guilty about this, but aren't quite sure how to change.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Relatable.
Right in the relatable feels. You know, I actually tried to make new friends on the internet the other day, and it wasn't as easy as I remembered it. Remember back, like I don't know if you had the same experience, but back like college or whatever, when I was online like all the time, it was really easy to like drop into a random chat room, show up 2 or 3 times, and make a bunch of friends. And I tried doing that again a couple weeks ago, and it just didn't feel the same. Like I don't know if it was just the particular place I was at, or if it was how I've changed as a person, but it was actually super difficult to just go in a random place and try to meet people again on the internet.
I don't know.
I don't know. I had different and nuanced feelings. Hey, let's learn about our day job.
Let's learn about day job.
You have a day job, which you feel is nothing special. You start out receiving minimum wage, but have stayed around long enough to be making enough to support yourself. The work is dull and unrewarding, but most days you feel just about anyone could do it. You have a hard time relating to most of your coworkers, so you mostly keep to yourself and get the work done while you're there. There are 1 or 2 people you chat with, though you wouldn't consider yourself close with them. A lot of days lately, you have a really hard time getting out of bed and forcing yourself to go in. You're starting to wonder how long you can keep this up. You'd really like to find another job in your field of interest, but feel like you're underqualified every time you look at online job postings. Sometimes you think about going back to school, but you'd be unsure how you would be able to support yourself and wonder if the degree would really help anyway. Right in the job feels? Yeah, that seems to be kind of the case. You find, like, I know I've been kind of at my current job mostly through inertia. But at the same time, I happen to be at a place that I genuinely enjoy being. So it's a little weird. But... Coffee break?
Coffee break.
Coffee steak. You're one of the few people you know whose parents never got divorced, but you do wonder if they still love each other sometimes. You have an older brother named Malcolm who has moved across the country with his wife to work a high-paying job. Every major holiday that you see him at, you feel a bit jealous and like the lesser kid, despite being genuinely happy to see him. You feel very ashamed of those feelings. Your parents genuinely care about you. This often involves inviting you back to your childhood home for dinner, though your mother thinks you never visit quite often enough. But you get the impression they don't fully understand you. They want to see you succeed, and you don't know why you haven't gone farther in life. Yet because you're so smart and talented... Oh, I timed that sentence wrong. My bad. Anytime you've tried to talk to them about your motivation issues, they tell you that the solution is simply to work harder, or want it more. Your father's generally more forgiving of your lack of a career path, while your mother seems to think you're too smart to be in the position you're in. You know they love you and that they're not bad people, but you really feel like a big disappointment sometimes. Ouch. The scene been set? Let's do this. It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. I wouldn't know anything about that. You spent the last several hours at work. Past week or so you found your job motivation flagging more than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half the time. Yet time seemed to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple of hours at least. You briefly consider using this serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project you've been working haphazardly for the past few months. Do we want to finish the thing before we do the side bits, or do we want to do the side bit?
I don't know.
Let's do it one unit at a time, and then we'll do the side bits.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Nice. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain. unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted, and a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Let's find out about that project. A while back, you and some of your older friends were at a bar catching up. After liquefying considerably more of your paycheck than was perhaps responsible, and ending up thoroughly in your cups, you open up to the only people you really consider yourself close, and end up launching into a drunken tirade about the meaninglessness of your utterly menial job, and ultimately your own existence. Having never really seen you in such a state before, your friends were briefly taken aback by your sudden, uncharacteristic outbursts. One of your friends suggested that you get involved with your hobby on a more regular, long-term basis. Suggesting to spend your energy on something you actually care about might help you better cope with the shittiness of your 9-to-5. Oh, to have a 9-to-5.
Mm-hmm.
So quaint. Reliable retail hours?
More like a 7 a.m. till midnight at random intervals.
7 a.m. to midnight, choose 9.
Choose any 9.
Although you were embarrassed that you let your guard down and you felt self-conscious at seeming to have single-handedly brought the mood down at the table, you convinced yourself on the cab ride home that maybe it would be worth trying out. You began your project some months ago and have miraculously managed to keep at it, though your level of motivation and subsequent effort rises and falls considerably. Well, you were surprised when you started at how good it felt to actually work on something you were passionate about. Lately, you found it hard to muster the energy to really care about even this.
Huh. I wonder what that's like and who that's happened to.
Are you getting meta now? Oh, alright.
Oh, I didn't realize there's status
Do
indicators.
Well, we got some options, so let's see our status. You are depressed. Interaction is exhausting, and you are becoming more and more withdrawn. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking medication for depression. So do we order some food, grab a drink, and hunker down for a good night? Nope. Apparently not.
Mm-hmm.
Do we reluctantly sit down and try to make ourselves do something? Do we turn on the TV telling ourselves we just need a quick half hour to unwind? Or do we call into bed because we're so stressed and overwhelmed you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways? If I know anything about being depressed, number 2 isn't going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. But neither will 3 or 4.
But neither... Well, at least if we do number 3, maybe we can catch up on, I don't know, happy shows. Like BoJack Horseman. The happiest show. Or maybe Neon Genesis Evangelion. Another really... Are there any other big shows that factor in depression very well?
I don't know. Probably.
I'm trying to work this out here. That's actually really funny. Because when you had me watch NGE for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that Shinji is like is suffering from depression and that colors everything that he's doing completely missed my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, why is he not anime protagonisting? What's going on here?
Why won't he get in the robot?
But for actually, like during one of the final episodes, I remember, Shinji, why are you fucking sitting down and crying? Get in the... I didn't know it was a meme at the time, but get in your fucking robot.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I think you pointed that out to me, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Crippling depression from being forced to serve as a child soldier
Crippling
by
depression.
your distant, unloving father.
And then I'm like, oh, suddenly everything seems relatable now. Let's try to do something.
Let's do our best.
All right. Make a stop at your fridge, turn on your favorite playlist, and sit down to start working. You open the last file you were working on, and as soon as your hands touch the keyboard, your mind goes blank. All of the motivation and ideas you had when you arrived home vanish in a flash. Your brain seizes up, and you find yourself physically incapable of any sort of productive thought. You take a break to loosen up, popping into your email box, Twitter, various other internet-based distraction fodder. Frustratingly, this pattern continues throughout the course of the evening. As soon as you try to focus on work, your brain diverts all of its energy away from the task at hand. When you keep flipping back to your work, you find the sheer mental effort involved in keeping your brain focused is overwhelming and tiring. After a few Twitter arguments, YouTube videos, and sparse amounts of actual work later, your playlist flips back to track 1 and the ice in your glass is all but melted, diluting the last dregs of Coke you were nursing. Who nurses Coke? Shove that shit right down the gullet and get another one, baby.
I'm nursing this Coke. It's ill and I must restore it to health.
You look at the clock and realize that
Yes.
Oh my god, I can't pronounce words. You look at the clock and realize that a few hours have passed since you sat down to work, and you've made negligible progress. Hey, did you know that consonants are interchangeable?
Yes, they are.
Alright. I could just wake up early tomorrow and catch up, you think to yourself as you climb into bed, even though you know that never actually happens. Yeah, waking up early, and B, working on something that of your own that you don't have outside motivation to do. It's like, I'd never have trouble finding the motivation to do, like, schoolwork, for example, but I'd always put it off to the last moment. I remember one of my calculus classes that I absolutely... No, it wasn't calculus. It was, I don't know, some other maths, field theory, stuff like that. And I'd love the material, it'd be really interesting, but I could never do the homework in a timely manner, so I would always, like, put it off, and then get up at, like, 6 a.m. the day of class and do it all in one big burst. Because the only the procrastination could get me there, apparently.
Yep. For me, it was always put off all of the long-term projects until finals week or shortly before the absolute last deadline. Do everything in one frantic whiskey and cigarette fueled high energy burst of just, let's only work for like 2 weeks and do everything, get a fantastic grade on it all, and then fall apart into a mire of depression for like 3 months.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
I remember one time we had in my cryptography course, we had a final exam where, you got to go home, and the exam was analyzing these, it was trying to figure out how some sets of things were coded and decode them.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. And I remember thinking, like, I'll just do that in the evening before going out. And then when I finally set out to do it the evening before, it was so much harder than I thought. And I'm just sitting there crying and stayed up, I don't know, until stupid o'clock in the morning. Just, doing Visionaire ciphers.
I had to translate a big chunk of the fucking analysis and waited until the night before, and this was like a weeks long project. It's like, well, I guess I get to do this at all times now, while eating, while brushing my teeth.
Yep.
No matter what I'm doing, I will have this copy of the analysis open in my left hand, and I will frantically scramble to understand what the hell Greek is going on here.
Something, it's all Greek to me. Oh, I think it even got to the point where like when I was writing essays and stuff, I'd basically crank them out the night before. Like, not even bothering past that first draft. And like at the time you think like, oh, it's fine, no one's gonna notice, but then you go back and read it yourself later and you're like, man, this all sucks. And I could have done better if I just had like another moment to like fucking edit it.
I go back and read my philosophy essays and I'm like, wow, what an insufferable prick.
I had one I was still proud of. It's where I talked about the nature of color with regards to synesthesia. Specifically color grapheme synesthesia. And that was pretty fun. I read back and read it. I'm like, that's not terrible. It's not publishable or anything, but I didn't hate myself. It was a weird feeling. I didn't like it. Hey, look, we're on Friday afternoon now.
Hell yeah.
Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a, quote, really awesome, unquote, birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you get along well enough, but aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning, nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you've been fatigued most of the time lately. You mentioned that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain these things to someone, and say they aren't sure you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over your phone, but you can swear you heard the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week. She sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. Shake off your funk and go have a good time with your girlfriend. No, why would we do that? The thing is that both of these options suck. Because, I mean, obviously we're not going to say we're not feeling well and can't make it, even though I have done that exact fucking thing.
Yeah.
And, oh god. It's because it's so much easier to just be on your own to try to be around people. But, of course we're going to go. Even though we're going to be miserable the whole time we're there, I swear to you. Oh, good, and we're drinking Pops Blue Ribbon. Fuck off. You agree to go, even though you're not feeling social. You know it's important to Alex, and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around, and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steel your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl. Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came. Oh wait, do you want to be Alex?
I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were gonna make it.
A young man taps her on the shoulder and she turns back to you to apologize and let you know they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. Nice.
Improvising.
Good Foley art. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognize. Oh, enthusiastically socialized. No. Fuck that. Awkwardly stand at the same spot, unsure of what else to do. Strong contender. Put your bag in Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less uncomfortable.
Good old option number 5.
Oh my gosh. So, one thing I enjoyed about a lot of the, when I was, cards on the table, I'm not a very sociable person right now. That's actually one of the things that's kind of on my, list of things to work on. That has been coming up this year. I've been trying out new medications. I've been trying to find a new therapist and all that fun stuff. But back when I was more sociable, one of the things I would do frequently, a lot of the parties I went to had like either a video game console or tabletop games ready to go. And my strategy was I'd get involved in one of those, whatever's going on, don't care. Because suddenly everything's got rules.
Yep.
And you can be like, okay, you know, I can sit here and play Smash Bros. I know how to, I can handle that. Or I can sit here and learn whatever this game is you're playing. I don't care if I'm not interested in it. It's got a set of rules to it. I can adapt to that. Whenever that wasn't there, it was always like sit quietly in a corner and scroll through the phone. How about you?
For me, it was sometimes that when that was an option, which it wasn't always, because didn't always have the friend circle that was into games and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't that, it was good old lucky number 5 there. And that always worked well. Never went terribly wrong.
I bet.
Actually, wait. Even when it was the nerdy friends with the board games, it was still option number 5. I drank a lot. I used to be the sort of person who was like, buy a 12-pack, drink the 12-pack.
Oh man.
Thankfully not anymore, but...
You sound a lot like me when I was in my freshie year in university. When I was at school in Montreal. Because when you're 18 and off on your own in a different country and suddenly everything's the legal drinking age, you don't make the best decisions as to how much you should be drinking and when. That's also the year I learned that maybe it's best if a heavily depressed introvert doesn't do journalism for a living. Who knew?
Who knew?
Anyway, well, we can either do number 5 if that feels authentic to you. I'm personally a big fan of the number 2.
I like 2 and 4.
Whatever you think feels most earnest here. Do you want to do number 5?
No. Number 5 is bad choices.
Yeah, well, they're all bad choices. I'm just saying,
but
like,
number
which one of
5 is
these?
especially bad choices.
Yeah,
Let's not
but
do
does it
number
feel more
5.
authentic to you?
Let's not do number 5.
Okay, let's not do number 5.
I've done number 5 too many times already.
All right. Then let's do let's at least move to the back wall.
Okay.
You know, get at least one barrier on one side of us. As Alex leaves, you're not quite sure what to do with yourself. Standing in the middle of the room leaves you feeling kind of exposed, and you don't feel ballsy enough to randomly approach any of the groups of people clustered together talking. You went to a clear spot on the back wall and lean against it. For some reason, this always feels a lot more secure. Scan the party for a familiar face or any sign of your partner, and come up with nothing. Not sure what else to do, and worrying yourself that you might look creepy just standing there watching everyone. You take out your phone to busy yourself. 20 semi-tedious games of Bejeweled Blitz later, your partner returns. Spend the rest of the night with Alex, occasionally being introduced to people, nodding along with group conversations, even if you don't participate that much. At the end of the night, as you're falling asleep with your girlfriend in the crook of your arm, she thanks you again for coming. Half drunk, she confides that she thought you were going to flake out and was pleasantly surprised that you managed to come out. She says it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you feel about that statement. Alright, well, I don't use Bejeweled Blitz, but what's your distraction?
At the moment, my distraction is fucking Grand Blue Fantasy.
I've been watching you play that game, and you're fucking playing a mobile game on your laptop like a fucking nerd.
That's true.
For me, it used to be a Pogo until I realized how much of my time that was taking.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just reading the news, which is even worse.
Because the news is bad.
Oh, God. Last time I went to my doctor's office to change medications, she actually recommended, I forget what the fucking name of it is now, but I need to go download it later, a fucking app on your phone that you can use when you're feeling really depressed that kind of like gives you a couple mindfulness exercises and kind of talks you and yeah, she's really into CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy. What else could that acronym mean?
I don't know.
Stop looking at me like that. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. Oh. Alright, relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I don't want to shit-talk my own family, because I love them very much, and I know they love me. End sentence. So what's going on with you lately? She asks abruptly. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her that you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestured to the dirty dishes piled in the sink, notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence seems only to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden, well-meaning but overwhelming inquisition. Under her question, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is that you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or friends or anything like that. But at the same time, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained and as though you're not really here. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in the past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you're feeling. What do you do? Oh man. So, hey, pro tip: if you're dealing, if you've got offspring and they're feeling really depressed, A, don't randomly show up at their place. B, don't fucking walk around and judge how they're fucking living, even if you are concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
That is like anti-helpful. It is like the negative helpful. There's letters C through Z coming later, but let's not. So do we try to be honest with her anyway? Tell her that everything's fine. Thank you for asking. Change the subject. So from past experience, number 3 is most likely to get the conversation to end.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you change the subject, that's just a big red flag. Like, oh, I'm going to keep pressing on the initial topic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to be, and I think it's been made clear that if we just try to be honest in this situation, we're not going to really get an understanding ear in return.
So you're thinking 3?
I'm thinking 3. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I guess 3.
I'm okay, Mom, really. Thanks for worrying about me. Mother looks at you from across the room with furrowed brows, and you wonder if the tone of your voice was at the least bit convincing. She slightly opens her mouth as though she was about to say something more, but instead digs through her purse for her cell phone, apparently having decided against it. Well, as long as you're okay, honey, her voice trails. As your mother returns to what amounts to more or less small talk, you realize that this is the part of the conversation that has happened a lot recently. Someone will express concern for you, or ask if you're okay seemingly out of nowhere. You tend to find that it's simpler just to declare that you're okay, and then find the right words for complicated and murky... find the right words for complicated and murky feelings. Besides, since none of them are in reaction to a specific event, maybe you really are okay and just complaining about nothing anyway. Sometimes, when you insist that you're okay to those who ask, you have to wonder if you're trying to convince them or yourself. Ooh, has our status changed?
Nope.
Okay, same status. It's a lazy Sunday morning. You're idly clicking You're idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a co-worker of yours that you're friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. What? I find it's so much easier to not mispronounce words when you're overdoing an accent. Like, having tried that?
No.
Oh, man. Anyway, you typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs a shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for him to ask you to come in on short notice when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. How do you feel about cats, he asks. Mine had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. You don't have any pets, right? It takes you a moment to process this new information. You're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try to sell you on the idea of taking this last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you had specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart, really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet says she's healthy as a horse. Can bring her over by your place tonight if you're interested. You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him that this is all kind of sudden and that you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all that since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I could do. Just don't want to have to put her in a shelter. You can't help but feel like you're being guilt-tripped, but you decide to try to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling so down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if they are fairly low maintenance. What do you do? What are our options? Reasonable options. Okay, so full on number 4. You don't just spring responsibility on that like that on someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would like to have a cat again, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that, like, while I'm kind of getting better, I'm still not in a good enough of a place where I feel like taking on responsibility for another living being, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This could be our future, though. Can we get a kitten at some point in the future?
Okay.
If we make it through this year and we're both feeling better, can we get a kitten?
Future kitten.
Can we name it? Can we name it?
Yes, we can name it.
Turd. Turd the kitten. All right, decline. I'm sorry, I just can't right now. I hope you find a good home for her. You sit through a few more sales pitch statements that border on guilt trips and rebut them with fabricated excuses about your landlord not allowing pets before your coworker gives up and thanks you anyway. What a dick of a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a difference between, like, asking someone and fucking giving them the used sales car person.
Mm-hmm.
Used sales car person. How does English work? You wish him luck finding a home for her. As you hang up, you feel pangs of guilt as you imagine him having to put her in a shelter. You wonder if the chance of the kitten ending up in a shelter was worse than the chance of you being unable to care for an animal. You feel pretty awful about yourself regardless. Your apartment's emptiness feels a lot more palpable suddenly, and you wonder if you could have pulled it off. Consider getting a pet in the future after more careful consideration and preparation. The next day at work, you went to your coworker and breathe a sigh of relief as he informs you that he was able to find a good home for the kitten. She's probably way better off than she would be with me, you think. Alright, has her status changed?
Nope.
Awesome. It's late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner.
I quit.
Wait, let me check the watch. Yep, I quit, fuckers. A bright, clear day is giving way to a still, temperate evening. You can hear your coworkers all around you anxiously making plans for the evenings and weekends, but you're really looking forward to just going home and resting after what turned out to be a really long and taxing work week. Just before the end of your shift, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate the end of the week. And they want to know if you'd like to come along. You tentatively tell her that you're emotionally exhausted from the work week and a social outing like that would just take too much out of you today. You encourage her to go and have a good time, since you know it's been a while since she's gone out with friends, but the effort feels futile since you know that she isn't going to go without you. A couple of hours later, the two of you find yourselves in a familiar position, on the couch, watching comedy shows on Netflix, a box of pizza open on the coffee table in front of you. As you look across the couch, you start to feel anxious. You feel bad about effectively forcing the two of you to stay in tonight, again. While you're always appreciative of your partner's efforts to take your feelings into account and help make sure you're socially comfortable, you sincerely worry that you're holding her back from enjoying a more fulfilling relationship. While she does seem to enjoy spending time with you, as the two of you sit in comfortable, almost contented silence, watching old shows you've each seen 2 or 3 times before, your ever-increasing fear that your relationship is becoming one-sided weighs more and more heavily on you. You feel more than ever like a burden or a ward to her, and it's virtually impossible for you to see what value you could possibly offer to her in return. Worst of all, this nagging fear has made you more self-conscious than ever, withdrawing ever inwards. You've started to pull away even from Alex herself. What do? You know that despite the bad times, your girlfriend sincerely loves you. Relationships are a two-way street, and you resolve to always be there for her like she's always been there for you.
Can't.
Nope. Tell Alex how important she is to you and enjoy your evening.
Won't.
Nope. Ask Alex if she's happy with your relationship, or don't say anything you're already worried about her being upset with you. Number 4 is generally the safest option in these scenarios, because number 3 will lead to Alex being like, no, seriously, it's I love you, and you're awesome, and then us being even more worried because, oh, what if you're just saying that to calm me down, and it's just a big spiral.
Okay, 4 it is.
Netflix. I like how Netflix is on the fucking Polaroid. This is far from the first time you would have had this conversation with her, and it's one that plays out the same way every time. You explain your fears of being worthless, she tries to tell you that she doesn't see you that way, and you insist that she is biased or being nice to you because she's your girlfriend, and she gets frustrated. It never resolves, nothing new is ever said, and rarely do you feel reassured by it. Occasionally, she tries to broach the subject, trying to discover why you feel like this about yourself. This always makes you feel nervous. You're sometimes convinced that the only reason she's still with you is because she doesn't know how awful you really are. As time goes on, you've gotten more comfortable trying to express bits and pieces of your insecurities to her, but it still causes you to feel very on guard, and it's not a conversation you can have for too long without worrying that you're going to scare her away. The weight of an unspoken, unresolved issue in your relationship joins you in the room for a while, but you dare not pick at it for the rest of the night. It's a breezy Sunday afternoon. You've allowed Amanda, an old friend from school that is in the town for the weekend, to talk you into leaving into that I hate it when the sentence doesn't look like it's gonna go the way I think it's gonna go.
Yep.
It's not even a fucking barn horse sentence. Is that what they're called?
I forget what they're called.
Because it's like the horse raced past the barn fell. That sentence?
Wait.
Because it's not about the horse racing past the barn. It's about the horse falling.
Okay.
So the horse raced past the barn, describing the horse, fell.
Okay.
You've never heard that?
I probably have. But it's still confusing.
That's the best example of that kind of sentence that's ever been thrown at me. Where it's just because of the construction, it seems like it's going one way and it's really not.
In this case,
it's pretty straightforward and I fucked up.
With a comma.
Nah. No, I'm pretty sure I just fucked it up.
No.
Nope. No. Don't you get it? It's all me. Everything I do is horrible. I can't get anything right. I'm the worst.
We're going on the quest in the game. We don't have to go on the quest in real life.
You sure? Well, can we do it later? Just for a little bit?
Okay.
Alright. You've allowed Amanda, an old friend from school that is in town for the weekend, to talk you into leaving the coffee for house and to catch up. There. Nailed it. Meet her in a small cafe and talk about what you've been up to since you've last seen each other. And you can't help but feel like they are a lot more accomplished and interesting than you while listening to their talk about their life after school. When it's your turn to brief them on your activities, you feel anxious and ashamed and give a very abbreviated version. You try to talk about your job as little as possible, and you feel incredibly boring while you describe it, despite her expressing sincere interest in you and your life. Amanda's known you long enough to read your mood and tone of voice. She leans and asks a question while gently touching your hand, a look of genuine concern on her face. What's wrong? Do you? Suggest to change the location and confide in her honestly. Test the waters and open up a little, hoping she'll understand. Insist nothing is wrong, change the subject. Defensively ask what she means by that, or notice that your hands are shaking. How well do we know Amanda?
I don't know.
Like, is she a regular... Like, if she's someone I haven't seen since high school, then she doesn't need the whole frickin' package, you know?
Regardless, are we...
Have you gotten into any of these scenarios lately?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because I don't really talk to anyone.
I mean, I work at a place where I frequently run into people I've known. And it's like, oh yeah, we should hang out. Or even worse, I run into their parents.
Oh no.
And their parents talk about how successful their kids have been. And like my old friends from high school, like, oh yeah, they're getting a new house, or yeah, they're working this great 6-figure job for this great media company, or yeah, they're working as a political consultant for this guy, and I'm like, well, I've got the word manager on my name tag, so clearly I'm doing something right. I'm leaning to either 2 or 3.
Because I feel like we gotta open up to somebody. If we're never honest about it, it'll just bottle up until it kills us.
Yeah. Alright. Let's test the waters a little bit.
Let's hope this doesn't backfire horribly.
I mean, it will, but... Though you find it hard to lay out how you've been feeling lately to other people, you decide to test the waters on opening up to Amanda. She's always been easy to talk to, and you feel like it's possible that she might be understanding of what's been going on with you, even if you think it doesn't make sense sometimes. You begin to dance around the subject, dipping your toe into the pool to test the water. Surprisingly, she catches on quickly and is even able to guess at what you may say next. She asks the right questions, leading you to elaborate on your emotional state. You apologize profusely the entire time, feeling like you're being obnoxious, but she reassures you that you're not burdening her. Amanda reveals to you that her mother suffers from clinical depression. She spent many nights talking her through very similar feelings. She mentions that therapy and medication have helped her tremendously and suggests you give it a try. You fight it and feel somewhat like a charity case, but she tells you that she'll get the number of her mother's therapist and email it to you as soon as she can. Afterward, conversation drifts back to small talk and shared hobbies. You spend a pleasant afternoon together. For the rest of the day, you find yourself wondering if therapy or medication really can help you. If you have an illness or are simply complaining too much, remember horror stories you've heard about antidepressants. You're not sure what to do if she remembers to email you the number for the therapist, and you secretly hope that she'll forget about it so you can avoid dealing with it at all. Oh. Hey, we come to the stage I'm at. Oh, remember the last time I went to the doctor's office? I mentioned I was having a hard time, like, with finding a therapist, and he's like, okay, sit right the hell down there, and starts pulling up ones. And it's like, here, this is, and like, fucking let me leave with a list.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, god damn. God damn. You effective healthcare professional, you. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of those few days that your brother Malcolm is in town and free long enough for you to actually see each other. You have a dental appointment that day, but you make plans for him to pick you up afterward. Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you you've been grinding your teeth in your sleep to a worrying degree. Given how nearly everything in your life has been feeling enormous and stressful lately, this doesn't come as a surprise to you. He suggests you try to reduce your stress levels and fits you in for a night guard. It feels awkward and too big for your mouth, and you feel embarrassed looking at your puffed out face in the mirror with it in. You finish up the appointment in a hurry and leave a half hour overdue for your meeting your always punctual brother in the parking lot. You finish up as quickly as possible and leave the building to scan the parking lot for your brother's car, but you don't see his old Civic anywhere. You pass by a blue Camaro and jump as it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. We jumped twice! It takes you a moment to realize it, but Malcolm's in the driver's seat. Hop in the passenger seat and compliment him on his new ride and mentions that it's a perk of the promotion he's recently obtained at work. Good job! Starts telling you about how much more money he's making, how his career's getting taken off, how he's starting to look at houses with his wife soon. You clutch the bag containing the night guard in your hand and feel yourself clench your teeth as you think of your crummy apartment and how long it's been since you were able to take a day off work without having to worry about making ends meet. He's only 2 years older than you, but it feels like he's eons ahead of you in every other aspect of your lives. So, he asks, how did your appointment go? Did you get drilled full of holes or what? A sense of shame creeps over you.
This is weird because why would you suddenly start telling someone about dental appliances and stuff?
Because it's literally in your hand and you can't avoid it. Because, see, we're walking to the car with the bag in our hands out and obvious.
Yeah, I mean, we don't dentists always send you away with a bag of dentist stuff?
Yeah, but there's a difference between, like, hey, here's a new toothbrush, versus, here's the bag containing your night guard.
Is there? I don't know. This just seems kind of
blown out of proportion because we're worrying a lot.
Oh,
you don't say.
Huh?
Yeah, Shinji, get in that fucking.
But
robot.
no, not even that. Even the non-depressed one. Laugh about the dorky night guard with your brother.
Yeah,
like
whatever.
Does he needs to know the specifics of our dental care? We had an appointment. It was fine.
Yeah, just then tell him it's a routine cleaning.
But that's apparently a lie for some reason.
Yep.
I don't get it. Which one do we do? I don't understand.
Let's just be honest. He's our brother. He'll love us.
This one?
Yep. I mean, but well,
what? What?
You scrolled down way too quickly. I couldn't read the top.
Right. This is the top.
Okay. Actually, I guess I have been grinding my teeth in my sleep too much. You gotta be Malcolm.
Oh, yeah?
Malcolm asks.
Isn't that a stress thing?
Yeah, I guess I've been having kind of a hard time lately.
I'm sorry to hear that, kiddo.
Malcolm glances over at you. You stare at the window, feeling suddenly self-conscious. As you watch houses and cars sit by, he asks,
anything you want to talk about?
I don't know. It's hard to talk about. Trying to figure out where to start feels like trying to pin down something flying around in your head, except it's one of millions of tiny bits of static flying around in there. It's more than talking about specific events, because there are times when you feel miserable without any specific catalyst to point to. It's a constant din of noise in the back of your head, and that never goes away. It only ever gets turned down. You try to explain all this to Malcolm, and he asks a lot of questions without judgment in an effort to help you give words to this jumble of massive negative emotion. Two of you end up getting takeout and going back to your place and talk late into the night. After a long back and forth, he asks,
Is there anything I can do to help you with this?
Yeah, don't tell Mom, okay?
Yeah, she wouldn't get it.
He replies with a slight laugh.
Does talking about it help?
Sometimes, kind of.
Well, okay. Know that you can call me anytime you need.
He rests one of his enormous hands on your shoulder.
You'll get through this, kiddo.
You'll get through this, kiddo. Cuts to Uma Thurman in a fucking yellow jumpsuit.
Hey, we're less depressed.
What do you mean we're less depressed?
We were very depressed. Now we're just depressed.
Oh, wait. Our depression level changed?
Yeah.
That happens?
Yep.
Oh, God.
Those are our stats.
Oh, God, our stats. Alright. It's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and sit down at your desk to check your email. A new message pops up in your inbox almost as soon as you do. It's from Amanda. And you remember your meeting in the cafe and awkwardly bringing up your feelings to her. Subject: Hey, buddy. Body: Hey, sorry it's been a few weeks. I meant to get this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get a hold of my folks back home. Dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remembered what we talked about last time I saw you, and I hope you aren't insulted. I asked my mom for the number for her therapist. Don't worry, I didn't tell her who it was for. I think she's worried about me, though, now. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, the number is 1-800-639-0666. It's a really good office. You should look into it. Talking to someone never hurts. If we're about money, don't be. They're one of the few that has really good sliding scale fee system and won't charge you what you can't afford. Hope you're feeling better. Really nice to see you again. A. It's still early enough that you could call and make an appointment today. Same day appointment.
That's a confusing idea. Wait.
Unrealistic.
No. It means call today.
Oh, and
To
make
make
the
an
appointment. Gotcha. Well, why don't you try your luck and call the number?
Whoops.
Well, I didn't look at the other options.
Oops.
But we're gonna do it. You read through Amanda's email 2 or 3 times, then sit and stare at your computer for a while. While the memory of that uncomfortable conversation makes you feel newly embarrassed and self-conscious, part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. Sitting in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity, perhaps some sense of obligation after having listened to you. You question her motives and the validity of her concern, and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Yet almost unconsciously, you reach for your phone, and before you realize what's happening, you're listening to the therapist's line ring. Before you can bring yourself to hang up, you're listening to a slightly clinical but not unpleasant voice of the receptionist ask how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor, you manage to stammer out. The conversation is quick and not nearly as unpleasant as you were fearing. Quicker than you can say Freudian slip, you've scheduled an appointment. Quicker than you realize, appointment day rolls around. What do you do? Do we head to the therapist's office, even though we're totally unsure, sit in our car terrified and trying to talk ourselves out of going? I like how we're picking the... I don't know if this is just because, like, we've lived with this for a while, but we're finding, like, oh, we don't have the best answer, but we do have the coping answer.
Yep.
Like, we can't act like normal people, but we know the answer to get the best result.
Mm-hmm.
As close to approximating normal people as we can do. Let's go. Let's do it. The Science of Life by H.G. Wells. Interesting choice. You have your first session with your new therapist, Dr. Susan Melville. Tall woman in her mid-40s with a disarming demeanor and patient eyes. The start of the slightest smile lines. She makes you feel comfortable and fairly easy, which is a pleasant surprise after all your anxiety over the appointment.
Wait. The therapist is an MD?
Where are you seeing that?
Dr. Susan Melville. Oh, wait, maybe she's a PhD psychologist. Even so, that seems... I've never had a therapist that was a doctor so-and-so.
That's fair.
They've always been master's degrees.
Huh. Oh, you know what? Come to think of it, yeah. Huh. Unrealistic, 0 out of 10. As you leave, you make a second appointment. You're still skeptical, You're still skeptical about...
Yes, I am.
I'm just committing now.
Yep.
But figure you might as well see where this goes. The hardest part, it seems, was taking the first step. Yeah, no shit. You're still not sure if and how you're going to tell your family or your partner, but you figure you'll deal with that when the time comes. Who says your fucking family has to know about it?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you feel relieved that you managed to see this through instead of being paralyzed and worry over it. Even if nothing comes of it, you did something you said you would, instead of flaking out or running away. Excellent! We did it! Let's go home and reward ourselves by sitting alone in a dark room and not talking to anyone. You're emotionally exhausted when you get home and collapse into your bed. You sleep better that night than you have in a week. You're not sure if it's because you were so tired when you got home, it's because of the therapist. Nice. Right, I've got to talk. Hold on. It is early on a Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking 10 to 20 minutes before your alarm rings, and unfortunately, today is no exception. You lay in bed, each minute ticking closer and closer to wake-up time, passing on a swelling wave of ever-encroaching dread. Sooner than you'd like, your alarm blares with caustic inevitability. You frantically pound the snooze button, then retreat under your blankets as the warmth of your comforter can shield you from the passage of time. You almost always have difficulty rising from bed, but today that simple task seems nothing short of Herculean. After several snooze cycles, you decide you just can't deal with work today. Incapable of even rousing yourself from your bed, let alone going into work having to force yourself through a workday. Not to mention you've snoozed so many times it would be impossible to make it on time now anyways. So, legit, like, if you're having a day, like, this fucking bad, and, like, I've had that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had days like that where I'm just like, no, then take a sick day. That's the whole point of mental health is part of your overall health. If you can't go in because you are having a fucking overwhelming day, then you take a fucking sick day.
But what if I'm having a day like this every day?
Then you just ask me and I hug you.
Okay. Anyway, which one are we doing?
And then I gently nuzzle you until you fall out of bed on the other side.
Okay.
Just gentle though. Gentle nuzzles. Which one should we do? Should we try to make it into work? At least we can leave early if it gets too unbearable, or call boss to tell him we're sick and won't be in today.
Oh.
So, if it was my call, I'd say number 3.
Okay.
Like there's learning how to get yourself to work when you're not feeling up to it is important, but it's also okay to have days where you fucking just can't.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health is important. Take a fucking sick day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Despite the fact that you know it's your job and that you should go, keep fighting yourself every step of the way. Every time you resolve to climb out of bed and just go, your body seems to get heavier and your head gets foggier and you find yourself unable to actually make yourself move. You grab your phone, dial a boss's number, hoping that it's early enough that he won't be there and you could just leave a message. Fortunately, after a couple of rings, voicemail picks up and you leave a message explaining that you're sick and won't be in today. As you hang up the phone, you worry that perhaps your message sounds like a lame excuse. You do hope your boss won't call or email you to follow up with your message, but for now you're too foggy to do much of any sort of thinking, and eventually you fall back into sleep that is both heavy and restless. When you wake up the next morning, short of feeling well rested, you actually feel more stressed out. While it was definitely nice to get a break from work, you're now faced with a new problem that you hadn't considered before. You still have to go to work today. While you aren't having the same problems physically getting out of bed you were having yesterday, the prospect of having to face your boss after missing a day of work does not seem appealing in the slightest. You worry that your absence won't be seen as believable or legitimate, coworkers and boss will think you're just trying to half-assedly play hooky, or worse, you feel that someone will actually ask you what's wrong. Being caught in that instance and having to either make up half-baked excuse or worse, will see right through you and know, quickly as your mood matching the drizzly weather outside. You know that you have to go into work, but your fear of being perceived as either lazy or defective is making you regret yesterday's decision to take the day off, and ultimately you feel worse for it. Damn. It's Zam on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
No love for that?
It's Zam.
It's Zam.
It's Big Zam.
It's Zam on a Sunday. And you have work in the morning. Roller receives sickly green glow of the time displayed on the LED alarm clock and let out an exasperated sigh. Trying to fall asleep for over 3 hours now to no avail. Every time your head hits the pillow, you've overcome with anxious thoughts that wrap themselves around each other. Worries about your job lead to worries about your future lead to worries about your very identity. You're unable to shake them long enough to doze off. Your eyes won't even stay shut as your mind races through imagined scenarios going horribly wrong, which you promptly attribute to your general worthlessness. Your thoughts run too fast for you to come to a satisfying conclusion on any one of them. Your room is completely silent, but the silence is given way to loud static noise rattling inside your head. Your heart beats loudly and your worry it's beating a little too fast. You worry if you focus too strongly on your racing heart, you'll freak yourself out hard enough for that you have a heart attack. You have to be awake for work in a mere 8 hours. You know that your work is so much worse than only a few hours of sleep. What do you do? Well, you can never force yourself to go to sleep. That doesn't happen. Go to bed. Shouldn't be hard. Close your eyes and let it happen. Why won't your thoughts back off for 5 seconds? Snap out of it. What's wrong with you? Why can't you stop stressing out for 5 seconds? You're probably going to go into work tomorrow exhausted and fuck everything up and get fired. Or go to our computer. Sleep is clearly not happening. Yeah. So, pro tips for stuff like this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you are having a sincerely hard time falling asleep, difficult as it is to get away from the phone, try to get yourself out of bed and like into a living room, and then do that there. Because getting yourself comfortable with having the screen in your bed will make it harder for you to fall asleep in that bed. Like, if you're not falling asleep after a while, try to get yourself into like the living room and do your screen stuff in there, and then come back after a little while. Pro tips that I don't follow myself because I don't want to leave the warm embrace of the
It's too deadly cold in here for us to follow that advice.
Oh my god. Yeah, our apartment fucking sucks. So we live in the Northeast, and over the past weekend we had what was on the weather for a while called the bomb cyclone. And our apartment has a fuck ton of windows, which are kept with the blinds down at all times. So over the past weekend we could not keep in heat in our apartment at all. It was miserable. So yeah, I was hiding under the comforters. What of it? You ain't gonna judge me. You get out of bed and head to your desk. Laying in bed with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company makes you feel like you're going insane. The harshness of the light coming from the screen makes you squint as you turn it on. Despite how often you find yourself in this exact situation. There have been so many nights lately just like this. Another pro tip, you can get an app for your desktop, or just it's a feature on most phones now, where you turn down the intensity of the brightness. Helps yourself at night. So begin reading a news story. An online friend of yours PMs you. You're up late again, I see. Oh wait, do you want to be attic?
Okay, I'll be attic.
Okay.
You're up late again, I see.
Yeah, can't sleep. Again.
Sorry.
Thinking too much again?
I think you mean think nig.
Yes, that's what I meant.
You guessed it, frowny face.
Wanna talk about it?
You end up with talking with Attic for quite some time about how you've been feeling. He's always been easy to talk to about personal matters, and the added security of talking online helps. Being able to rethink what you say as you type it out and check it before you send it really helps gather your thoughts, and you find it less intimidating in a way to type it all into a prompt than say it out loud.
I can't do the voice anymore.
Then pick a different voice. We don't even know we don't know who Attic is. You can pick any voice.
Okay. It's my normal voice.
All right, then do it.
I don't want to be that guy who thinks they can diagnose something because I read a Wikipedia article, but it kind of sounds like you might have depression. You should talk to someone about that, like a doctor.
Thanks, Attic. Are you really that transparent? Or is it you gotten used to talking about your feelings at this point? Your insomnia makes you a little paranoid, but you shake it off.
We can do some research and see if there's a good doctor near you. It's not like you're going back to sleep anytime soon anyway. Might as well do something while you're awake.
You have to say happy face.
I'm saying happy face with my face. I made a normal smile.
Oh my god. I don't know how you made your smile look like that, but it's weird. Can you scroll a little bit?
No. We have.
We have.
We have. We did good. Oh,
Hug-
that's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, look in the picture. Hugs boson.
That's adorable.
You're
Hugs
adorable.
Boson, is that our tag?
It can be. Do you want to be the Hugs boson?
What?
I'm the Hugs boson. Aww.
In any case. Oh, okay. I'm glad you're taking that step. I've heard it's not an easy one. I know people kind of suck at understanding this sort of stuff sometimes, but there's nothing wrong with having depression. You wouldn't be ashamed to have bronchitis or something. Speak for yourself. So there's no reason to be ashamed if it's your brain that's sick instead.
Wow, way to alienate the bronchitis market. Wow, thanks. People with bronchitis, I just want you to know that you're always welcome here.
Okay.
Despite the fact that Vivian's a dick. You spend a few more minutes talking with Attic about your therapy and your feelings about it. He's incredibly supportive, and you're happy to find that you have a confidant that understands your illness and is willing to lend an ear when you're having nights like this. A little while later, you fall back into bed, and it's easier to drift off to sleep. Even in therapy, you know you're still going to have nights like these sometimes. It's good to know you have a friend who will help carry you through them. So is Attic in like a different time zone, and this is normal for them, or are they
I don't know.
near us and they're also up late?
They're an internet friend. They're on the internet.
Sounds good.
We work there.
It's a chilly Thursday night, and you've just gotten off work. This has felt like one of the longest days you've faced in recent memory. Even though nothing exceptional had happened, a ton of minor things kept going wrong. Coworkers had tried your patience throughout the day, considered leaving work early, but the last thing you wanted to do was deal with your insufferable boss on top of everything else. You're lost in thought on the commute home, and your feelings of frustration both with your life and with the world around you build as you run into minor annoyances like someone bumping into you really hard as they walk by. By the time you get home, you're exhausted and remember that these feelings are the ones you identified as a negative feedback loop with your therapist. These pent-up feelings aren't dying down, and they're eating at you. You open your front door and stare at your apartment. An overwhelming feeling of exhaustion overcomes you. You feel like your energy levels are low enough that you'll likely settle into a single activity tonight. What do you do? So this is something that's been different for us because I've lived with roommates and with people I've known for a very long time now.
Mm-hmm.
So even I get the stress of getting home and not having someone to and not having someone to talk to, but 90% of the time when I got home there would be someone there.
Yep.
And especially now since we've been living together for a while now.
Yeah.
So that's fundamentally changed that dynamic. Because now, even if I'm having an exhausting day, there's going to be, then 90% of the time, there's going to be someone there to talk to.
Mm-hmm. It's me.
Yeah! Shoutouts to my old roomie for being an awesome bro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, how about you? Did you ever have days like this and you didn't, and because you were, if you don't mind me mentioning that, you were living with your family for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did that change things? How did you deal with evenings like this?
By bottling it up, just like always.
The John Oliver route, I see.
Yep.
We're taking all that sadness and bottling it up until we die.
Yep. I don't know. Personally, I find reaching out to other people and trying to talk about it to be way stressful most of the time.
It is.
And generally not especially helpful. So that's just me, though.
I've had different experiences with it. It has been incredibly difficult and it's stressful. But like when I was dating people that I didn't live with, like I'd find it nice to even just text for a little while.
True.
Or sometimes be like, hey, do you need to, like even if they were having a busy night, like, hey, if you need to be here, even just to be around someone, I didn't, having the option to go be with someone was incredibly calming.
True. That definitely is.
I'm not trying to say your experience is wrong, by the way. Not at all. Everyone's experiences, emotions are legitimate. I just had different ones.
Okay.
And therefore mine are right.
Yep.
Correct. Good. I love your new haircut.
It's very short.
Oh.
I got the back shaved.
Well, how's it feel being an official gay?
It feels good.
Awesome. So let's reach out to someone close to us. Or would you rather, do you want to just distract ourselves?
Let's see what happens.
I mean,
Let's give it a try.
that's also a worthy option.
Yeah, but let's give it a try.
Because some nights when I'm like that, I do just go home and play fucking video games. Your head feels too noisy. You need to trade it for some actual conversation. The therapist did say that it was important to reach out to your support network, so you might as well give it a shot. Who do we call? Sam? Nah. He tried to give us a cat once. Our mother? That seems like it would cause even more stress.
Yep.
How about Alex?
Okay. Let's see.
Or You know what? Legit. Malcolm did say, hey, call us when you need us.
Let's do that then.
Yeah.
Oh, Malcolm in the middle.
Remember the conversation the two of you had when you were given the night guard? Recall that your brother had told you to call him if you ever needed to talk on days like this. Phone rings 3 times before his wife picks it up, and she tells you he's away on business right now. You redial his cell phone and it goes straight to voicemail. Feeling defeated, you hang up and lay in bed, thoughts gnawing at you as you do. You feel selfish for trying to reach out to him while he's busy in the first place. He's always so busy, and he's an important person to so many people. You, on the other hand, are lying on your bed in a crappy apartment feeling sorry for yourself. Your thoughts turn to how, if you were to just vanish, you'd feel like no one would notice for days. And when you did, there wouldn't be too many negative consequences for anyone. You're not in charge of anything important. You're distant from your friends. Who would even notice? Damn. Your thoughts are interrupted by your phone ringing next to your head. It's Malcolm. Hey, kiddo. Sorry I missed your call. I was in a tunnel on the way back to my hotel. How's it going? He enthusiastically greets you. Oh, I'm sorry. I did the Malcolm voice. You gotta do Malcolm voice.
Oh, I have to do the Malcolm voice?
Yeah, you're Malcolm.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take your lines.
Hey, kiddo. I'm sorry I missed your call. I was in a tunnel on the way back to my hotel. How's it going?
He enthusiastically greets you. Well done. Although you feel awkward about it, you talk to your older brother about how you're feeling and what your condition is doing to you right now. Two of you talk on the phone for a good long time, and he proves himself to be an excellent listener and very skilled at finding the perfect time to still hit in the mood with a joke, without seeming like he's making fun of you or doesn't seem to take your feelings seriously. He reminds you that you can call him anytime you need to let off some steam. You say your goodbyes, and you find that even though you ended up in tears 1 or 2 times in explaining things, the whole conversation had done a lot to get you in a better headspace.
Okay.
Good job. It is an utterly nondescript Wednesday afternoon, the type of afternoon that would completely fade from memory unless one made an active effort to preserve it. As this has become routine on Wednesdays, you are sitting on the couch at Dr. Melville's office. To your mild surprise, she begins the session by breaking her characteristic therapist silence and speaking up right away.
Therapist silence.
Ooh.
What?
Do you want to be Dr. Melville as well? Since I'm doing all the talking.
Okay.
You can just do your regular voice though. It's okay.
Okay. I'll be Melville. We're hunting the white whale.
Call me Ishmael.
Yes. I wanted to start by saying that I think it's great that you decided to come see me. It's an incredibly important first step.
She begins.
I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the possibility of supplementing or substituting your treatment with medication.
The mention of medication makes your ears perk up and you feel your heart rate increasing. She continues.
Many people find adding a pharmacological element to their treatment to be very helpful, and some even prefer to take drugs, completely eliminating their need to visit a therapist at all, providing you rely on your support network and are still reaching out to people. I would prefer it if we kept talking, should you choose to start medications, so that I can monitor your progress and adjust as needed, but the choice is ultimately yours. I just wanted to run the option by you to gauge what your thoughts on the matter might be.
Dr. Melville has given you a lot to think about. What do you do? Hey, we don't have any Reddit out options here.
Huh.
Is that part of the, is that part of the game?
I don't know.
Accept prescription as a way to augment therapy. Tell her to try drugs instead of therapy. The thought of messing with your brain chemicals makes you uneasy. You stick with the therapy. The whole therapy thing has overwhelmed you, and this is the final straw. You're done with both. Someone who's been on and off a bunch of different brain medications, I definitely get the feeling behind number 3. Because I was on a couple of different things for a long time. I started taking medications for it when I was in college, and both kind of mix of anti-anxiety and antidepressant stuff. And I remember being worried the whole time because of you hear fucking horror stories about it turns you into a brain dead zombie. And I don't know if it was actually the medication or just how I was convincing myself I felt at the point. But the second one I had wound up trying when I was in college wound up I did feel kind of like an emotionless zombie-like state where I couldn't feel anything, and that freaked me the fuck out. So I made the stupid decision to instead ignore that and not take any more medication for a long time. And now that I'm kind of getting back on it and trying some new ones and trying to find one that works, it was hard to take that step again. Because there's always the worry in the back of the head that, what am I doing to myself? Am I fucking myself up? It's not easy. But it's worth doing, because it's not like you're it's hard to kind of overcome that feeling that you're changing who you are, but you're really not doing that to yourself. And it takes kind of a while to accept that. It's you're not. It doesn't change who you are. It changes it just fucking changes the balance of chemicals in your fucking head, and seeing that as a physical problem rather than a mental problem kind of helped me get around, and that it's not that it's changing who you are, it's that you have a fucking head problem. You are not getting the appropriate amount of chemicals for doing stuff. You need to be getting that amount. Let's find a way to get you that amount. Medications are hard.
Yep.
No, you're crying. Shut up. Talk for a little bit so I can go over here and...
Okay. I'm talking. There, I'm done.
Oh, shit. Alright. Back to it. We're accepting that prescription, goddammit. Even though it's hard.
We're making the correct, if unlikely choice. Hey, I've been on that one.
Which one?
Bupropion.
Bupropion. I don't think I've been on that one. I also don't remember the names of all the stuff I've been on. I probably should, but it's written in a document somewhere, so I don't need to. Fuck off!
Wellbutrin is the brand name for that one.
Wellbutrin?
Yeah. It is.
The brand name actually sounds more familiar.
If I remember correctly, it's it's not an SSRI like the common ones. It's like a norepinephrine, like an SNRI or something to do with the norepinephrine system as well, and works differently. So they, sometimes prescribe to people for whom SSRIs don't work.
Good call.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Or,
and that's...
It's an NDRI, norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor. I think. Quote me on it. It's accurate. Definitely not just guessing. Continue.
The only thing I don't like there is that we immediately try something and it's working. You know what I mean?
What?
the feeling it feels weird to me is like we tried the first thing and immediately that is the effective drug. Like,
What?
Is it not normal for people to have to try a bunch of different antidepressants before they find one that works for them?
Yeah, I'm just confused. What are we talking about?
In the game. Like,
Did
we
it?
just look at our status.
Okay.
Our medication is helping to keep the edge off.
Okay.
One and done, baby. One and done.
Huh.
Unrealistic. 0 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Take this free game and ask for $5 back.
In any case.
No? Do you think Zoe Quinn would give me $5 if I asked for $5? Zoe Quinn. Hey,
I think this is a game that has been hated on by a lot of people and whose creator has been harassed a lot over it, and
You know what? That is
that's
actually true.
Contributing to a negative atmosphere about it. So I
Shit.
wouldn't.
No, you are absolutely 100% right. Because okay, I should not meme on the small details of the game, because it is clearly something that is affecting us,
Mm-hmm.
or at least affecting me. You're the one that's crying. Shut up. That said, do you have $5?
Maybe.
I just want to go get a candy bar.
Okay.
All right, a $5 candy bar. You think the matter over long and hard. It's strange to think that recently none of this sort of thing was even on your radar, and here you are now being asked to make a decision about it. You're both skeptical and nervous and still getting over the initial shock of even just talking to a therapist. Still, over the years, you've done enough entry-level reading on the subject to know that if it doesn't help, it probably won't hurt, right? After an intense and protracted period of internal
Vaccination.
internal vacillation?
Yeah.
Vacillation? Is that a soft C?
I think it's vacillation.
I've never seen this word before, so yeah. Decide to bite the
Flip
bullet.
flopping.
Huh?
Flip flopping.
Oh, that's a great word.
Yeah, it is.
You decide to bite the bullet and go for it. You tell Dr. Melville that you'd like to try medication in addition to your therapy. You spend about half an hour going over what you'll be taking, what you should expect from it. Thinking back on the decision later, you're pretty sure you had your fists tightly clenched the whole way through. Yep. Sounds about right. It's Wednesday evening. You're visiting your parents' house for a holiday. One of the handful of times during the year, you drive out to visit your old hometown, and you've seen random people you'd gone to school with around town. Whenever bumping into them, usual short versions of whatever you've done since graduating or exchanged. You've gone through a few of these today and have been very aware of how much you feel you haven't accomplished. When you were in high school, you had much larger plans, and you feel like you failed to manifest most of them. Even if you had managed to, you've largely lost interest in what you thought you wanted to do growing up. Now you're not really sure what you want to do, and you've felt like you're lacking the ambition or drive to figure it out. Everyone you've caught up with seems so much happier than you. Like they got their lives all figured out, and you've kind of been feeling like a failure by comparison. Your brother Malcolm arrives with his wife in tow shortly before you all sit down to dinner. He's been traveling for his job lately, and you haven't seen him since the day he picked you up from the dentist. Your parents haven't seen him since before then. During their dinner, they all catch up, and Malcolm talks about the amazing things he's done on the road. Your mother turns to you and asks what you've been up to since you've seen them last. Oh, same old, you say. Nothing really new going on. Your mother makes a face. Were you doing mother voice, or am I doing mother voice?
I don't
think we had a voice.
Yeah, I don't think we had a voice.
Oh, nothing new? How long are you planning on staying in that job of yours? What do you say? Pardon me for just one moment. I don't know. I don't think there's a good answer in this situation, because being honest with them is likely going to lead to them being over concerned and trying way too hard to be like, and us being like, no, I just need you to like calm down and be okay with this, and stop trying to fucking.
But I feel like being dishonest is just going to get caught up in it.
Exactly.
So,
like we've all seen the sitcoms, we know what happens there. So
Hams.
that's exactly. What'll happen is the fucking Aurora Borealis.
Yep. In any case.
Localized entirely within your kitchen. So I think what we just talked ourselves into was excusing ourselves to the bathroom.
Is it?
It's the only option we didn't have any negative feelings about. Yeah, if we gotta pick one, we gotta do number 3, I guess.
Okay.
Or we could just go to the bathroom and then tweet for like 4 hours. At dinner with folks. Still at dinner with folks. Happy face. At dinner with folks. Now pooping. Alright, what are we doing? We gotta pick one.
I think 3.
Alright. Brace yourself for impact. Actually, you start sheepishly. I'm not really sure what I want to do right now. Your mom puts down her fork. Fucking... So what, you're planning on living the way you do for the rest of your life? How would you afford a house on that paycheck? What about kids? Your father interrupts, lightly placing his hand over your mother's. Look, it's okay, Linda. Let the kids be what they are. There's nothing wrong with not knowing what you want to do in your 20s. I didn't get into construction until I was nearly 40. Your mother looks across the table at you, unsatisfied with her husband's reasoning. I don't think it's normal for someone at that age not to have a path. You think hard about it, you'll never make anything of yourself.
Come on.
Malcolm interjects. It's emotionally exhausted. You want to tell her that you're thinking hard and that not knowing what you're doing with yourself bothers you more than it could ever bother her. That sometimes it's like you're lost in the woods and that if you were to drop dead in your apartment, the world wouldn't notice. You want to make her understand that more often than not, you feel like an alien. Like there isn't anywhere in this world that feels like a place where you belong. That you have no idea how to fix it or what to do. You wish you could find the words so she would understand that being looked down on for this kills you, and driving home the feeling of being a total outsider. Instead, you get very quiet for the rest of the meal where your mind goes numb. Everything inside you feels exhausted. We should have just gone for the bathroom.
Yep.
It's a rainy night. You were hurrying through the rain to Alex's apartment at her behest. Though your pace is quick, the rain is steadily soaking up your pant legs and you traverse the town. It is darkening your already poor mood. I butchered that sentence, but you know what? It asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
The call came while you were at home after a day of dealing with abnormally frustrating people. You spent the afternoon trying to unwind and get some work on your project done. Alex called and interrupted one of your try to make progress, get frustrated at not making progress, have a harder time making progress due to frustration, repeat loops. You haven't fully shaken off the feelings of being annoyed with yourself from it yet. As you knock on her door, and on the third knock, hear the voice call from further in the apartment to come on in. It's across the threshold, dripping rainwater all the way. You notice that the lights are turned down very low in the apartment. Squint to navigate it as you clutch your damp umbrella, but at the end hitting up your shin on a side table, mumbling a profanity under your breath. You barely make Alex emerging from the hallway, clad in what looks to be a robe with bare skin of her legs peeking out underneath. Why don't you come in and warm up? She asks in her designated, slightly cheesy, sexy voice. After a beat of silence, she states more naturally, my roommates are out of town this weekend, so I thought it might be nice to have a little fun while they're away. You appreciate her affection, but you're too wrapped up in your own negative feedback loops to be on the mood right now. What do you do? Oh no.
Oh no.
Try to unwind with... suggest something else. I think number 4 is a bit too blunt.
Yep.
Let go if you're supposed to be intimate with your girlfriend. It's a real thigh slapper.
Sex in this economy?
Right in front of my salad. I don't know. I mean, like, the physical stuff is nice, but mostly, like, the parts where you get cuddly. And then again, my opinion on the matter is probably different from many people's. So, you know what? Fuck you. You can't see it. I'm flipping you all off twice, though.
I can see it.
Oh, you're right. Can you report to people what you were seeing, please?
Everybody being flipped off twice.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Independently verified.
Yep, that's science.
So what's the best approach here? Do we want to try to unwind before getting physical, or suggest we do something else, or just tell her straight we're not in the mood?
Not 4.
Well, I want to put forward a good argument for 4. Like telling someone that, like, hey, listen, I super appreciate what you're trying to do here, but I have just absolutely had the worst day and really need A, ice cream, and B, hugs. It's a good approach to the situation.
True, but I feel like that's not what this option's gonna be.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like 3 is gonna be the closest to that.
All right, let's try number 3 and let's see where that gets us.
Okay.
But I also don't want her to feel like it's not appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
because it like definitely is.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, yeah, I appreciate that you went to this effort on my behalf, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome of you. But at the same time, I super can't right now.
Yep.
But I'm worried that'll hurt her feelings. Do it. Slam that button. You look at her standing, barely lit, and notice there's a few candles scattered around the apartment. It occurs to you that she has tried to make this night special for the two of you, so you decide to put her in a bad mood and simply be with her. Even though you have a tight knot of antisocial frustration in your stomach, seeing how much she cares takes the edge off your bad day. You approach her and hold her. This is wonderful. Thank you for doing all this, you tell her, kissing her on the forehead. I've had such a bad day, and seeing how you care like this makes me feel a lot less heavy. She smiles at you and the two of you kiss. Is there any way we can just talk tonight through? I'm exhausted and I really just want to be near you. Oh, she responds. She thinks for a brief second until she's evaluating if you had meant anything more by that. Yeah, sure, that works. Two of you cuddle up on the couch and talk. You end up ranting about your job a little. She commiserates with you and relates similar stories about a terrible professor she has. Regardless of the fact that you don't have sex at night, you still feel as though it was a very romantic experience.
See? It went
Yeah,
fine.
you know what? That's about as good as we could have hoped for.
Yeah. We did good.
Yeah. It's an early winter evening, and even though it's not particularly late, the time of year has lent the sky an almost prematurely darkened cast. Day after day, just like today, you trudge home from a job you have increasingly come to hate. On this day, your job misery seems to have reached critical mass, and not even shedding your rain-laden and uncomfortable work clothes helps you unwind from your workday. You collapse onto your couch, blank and numb. Your job has always seemed to be just an unpleasant reality of existence. It was a position you sort of fell into unexpectedly, never intending to work there long term, and it's getting harder and harder to keep it up. While it's certainly not your dream job, you always just sort of stuck it out of necessity before, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that. You can't even begin to imagine what else you could do. You find yourself face to face with the question you can't ignore. Is your complacency worth the price of this level of misery? What do you do?
Well, I know what I do.
Turn on the TV, let your mind go blank.
Lucky number 4.
Lucky number 4. Where them dice? Double twos. This is a hard one.
Yeah.
I feel kind of lucky that, yeah, the exact way I got my job and where I'm still there is exactly that scenario, where I just kind of fell into it and I'm still there out of inertia.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm extremely lucky in the regard that it's not a terrible job and it's not at a terrible place.
Mm-hmm.
It's still retail, and that blows, because necessarily the culture surrounding a job working retail is going to lead to valuing certain things in certain situations that just fucking piss me off. I hate the fact that most retail jobs reduce your performance down to a single fucking number.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, have you sold enough of our credit card? Have you gotten enough pre-orders for your game? Have you sold enough of our discount card? Have you added this protection? Have you added the protection plan onto this fucking iPod? Whatever. It's always a fucking number. Even when, like... Alright, I'm stopping myself, I'm sorry. Fuck retail and the culture where we value productivity more than we value being a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a certain minimum standard that you should expect from employees, but there's a difference between minimum standard of doing your job versus, oh, you have to be fucking on edge all the goddamn time.
4-0 pay too.
Oh my god. It's like... I have a feeling 3 is going to go nowhere and 4 ain't going to help.
Let's try 2.
Let's try 2.
And also go nowhere.
Sit down at your computer, blow off some steam, and are surprised to find your thoughts drifting to your long-neglected project. Talk yourself into opening up and taking a look for the first time in what must be weeks. For whatever reason, your anger that you've been feeling towards your day job seems to be converted into pure passion. You seem to be overflowing with ideas tonight. As if you got a buildup of ideas that just haven't gotten out, and now you're in the zone. While you don't get an unnatural amount of work done, you've worked for a solid couple of hours, and it feels really great. Some more, you share some stuff across your social media networks and receive quite a bit of positive feedback, which makes you feel great. Gotta love that dopamine squirt. When you go top bed.
Yep.
I'm gonna top my bed, baby.
Okay.
When you go top bed that night, you tell yourself that your job may suck, but at least you got something you really care about that you can put effort into and feel really good about yourself. The fact is, you're falling asleep, you can barely even remember your workday.
Hey, look, we got less depressed.
Whatever you're doing seems to be working. You really feel like you're taking steps to affect positive change in your life. You really now seem to enjoy seeing your therapist. Between giving you a chance to talk things out in the CBT techniques, oh baby, shares with you, you find your sessions extremely helpful. Taking medication regularly, and while you were skeptical at first, hard to argue with the fact that you're feeling better than you have in a long time. Hey! How the fuck am I gonna do this? It's a little past 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You're at your computer, frustration levels peaked, rubbing your eyes and sighing heavily. You're working on a project from your job that has stretched you to its wit's end trying to meet a looming deadline. And as it lurks closer and closer, you're seriously doubting your ability to get it done. You've dragging your feet a little at work due to your complete lack of energy lately, despite of wanting to do a good job. You find yourself unable to push past it and feel horribly useless for it. Slide your hands off your face to look at your screen as it beeps at you.
Hey, are you there? I really need to talk to someone about something.
You feel like you're getting nowhere with your current task and could probably use a break. However, you know that you have a history of getting distracted and losing motivation to pick something back up again afterward. What do?
Answer our friend.
Fucking answer your friend. Feel like you hit a quality test, so why not take a break and help out a friend? Hey, what's up?
Oh, good, you're there. I just found out I got cheated on. I don't know what to do.
Oh shit, that's horrible. The two of you talk for a long time, and you lend a shoulder to your friend. You give him space to
That's my
space
shoulder.
to rant, cry, most importantly, be able to voice his inner turmoil. Give him your full attention and talk him through what his options are for what he does next. Keep him from doing something rash, and the two of you decide it's best for him to sleep on it before doing anything. Exhausted, he departs for bed and thanks you for being there to talk with him. As he closes the I am window, what's that?
Yeah, I don't know. What's I am?
What's I am? Is that still
Instant mocha?
Yeah, instant. Oh, that sounds good. You feel horribly sorry for your friend, but happy that you were able to help. It serves as a tangible reminder that you're capable of being useful to someone instead of solely being a mess that needs everyone's help. You boot up your work project and find that you're suddenly able to get some solid progress done on it that night.
Nice. We're
But
doing
seriously,
well?
rip AIM. Shit.
I don't understand.
I don't understand at all. 0 out of 10. It's a sunny afternoon. Sunny Saturday afternoon. You're deep in thought on your way home from therapy. However, you notice this time that you're not in the same negative feedback loops you usually get trapped in while being this introspective. You realize that although you still have your bad days, your lows aren't quite as low as they used to be. Your antidepressants bottle rolls across your dashboard to take a left turn. Been on this medication for quite a while now, and after a period of trying a few different kinds. Okay.
Dev's thought of everything.
Dev's thought about complaint withdrawn. I'm taking my complaint. I'm taking it out of the complaint jar and putting it into the non-complaint jar.
Okay.
It's now in the non-complaint jar. Though you still have minor side effects, they overall become a noticed part of your life. It feels as if your life has generally changed for the better recently, and you begin to wonder if you need them anymore. You don't feel as much despair of hopelessness, and you hate yourself a lot less these days. Maybe it's time to stop taking these, you think. You seem to really not need them anymore. What do you do?
Good idea.
No!
What could go
Don't
wrong?
do it! Don't do... Oh my... That... You hit continue taking your medication, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I did that to myself once. Don't. The reason it's getting better is not only because of relationships, but partly because that medication is helping you out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to convince yourself that you don't need it, but holy shit, please keep taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Going off of an antidepressant is something that is much harder decision than just, oh, I'm feeling better, I'm going to stop now.
And if
Go ahead.
And if you do end up just stopping for any reason or another after a long time being on one, almost always a better idea to talk to a medical professional about it and to taper off of it rather than just stop it immediately out of nowhere, because
And-
that's how horrible shit happens. If you really do need to
Exactly.
stop taking it, then that's something that you can probably find someone who will understand and be able to help you do it safely rather than...
And make sure you have a fucking support network
Yeah.
in place. Don't go cold turkey because you've been doing fine on your own and then realize, oh shit, I don't have anything else now. Alright, I'm done.
Anyway,
What film was that in? Fucking... There was a film
a film?
where that was like the key moment in the dude's life, was throwing away his medication. And it made him happier. And I'm so angry at that film. And I don't remember
know.
which film it is. Oh well. You have the realization that you can't be sure if it's general life change that's making you feel better or if it's just a sign the medication is working. You decide against discontinuing your meds. It's not really a lesson you'd like to learn the hard way, and the side effects of this particular kind are negligible. Next time you see Dr. Melville, you tell her about this. She informs you that this is a common train of thought that people have begun using medication to help them manage their depressing experience, that you manage to dodge a bullet because it generally ends poorly. She also asks you to talk to her first before making decisions about medication in the future. Yay! Good end.
We did the right thing, presumably.
It's yet another sleepless Thursday night. You're at Alex's apartment, wide awake in bed as she's sleeping peacefully beside you. She fell asleep hours ago, and you've been laying here unable to shut your brain long enough to fall asleep. You've had the feelings of insecurity about your relationship to the rest of the noise in your head keeping you up tonight. Time to pull up YouTube. It was a kind of a tense night between the two of you. You arrived after a stressful day at work, and as you made dinner together, you barely said a word. You're stuck in your own head and had a hard time really being present with her as your thoughts turn all the ways you feel like you're deficient at being good. You were stuck in your own head and had a hard time really being present with her as your thoughts turn to all the ways you feel like you're deficient at being a good person and beating yourself mentally for each one. She told you she could tell you were in one of your moods and that she wouldn't push you, but missed talking to you as the two of you sat on the couch together. You wanted to tell her how much you love her, but you couldn't make the words come out right, instead sounding defensive instead. So you lay there next to her now, you trace your fingers across her arm just slightly enough not to wake her. You still haven't explained your depression to her, or how you started seeing a therapist, or that you're taking medication. It's starting to feel more like a secret you're keeping instead of something she simply doesn't know about you yet. It's becoming more and more apparent that it's impacting your relationship with her, and you feel guilty about this. However, you're also terrified that she knew exactly how fucked up you are, that she would leave you. You're already worried that she's only with you because she doesn't realize how terrible of a person you are yet, and you're afraid that this would only be the final thing to expose you. She stirs in her sleep and squints as she opens her eyes. The confusion that comes with waking up, she asks you if you're awake and then if everything's okay. Is now, like, exactly the time to do it?
We haven't told our partner anything about this entire thing.
Really? Alright.
We haven't so far.
But
Have we?
is 2 a.m. the time to do it when she's really sleepy?
Are we going to get another chance here?
That's a good point. We need to
We need to be open with her at some point. We haven't done it yet.
do it. Slam that button. Feel like a jerk for accidentally waking her up, but you're afraid if you put this off any longer that you won't find the strength to tell her everything later. No, actually, everything isn't okay. Can I tell you something? Something important? Alex steps up, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands as you tell her everything. Tell her how it's more than just feeling sad sometimes, how you feel trapped by your own mind. Sometimes you feel nothing at all, and how you can't shake it off. You tell her how you started going to therapy, how you feel embarrassed about it, and how it's working out for you. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, or asking you to explain something further. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands, and that she said you didn't tell her sooner. You're laying silent for a moment, the weight of what you did hits you. You just really want her to say something to tell you how she's feeling about all this, but you're too afraid of what the answer would be to ask. You start convincing yourself now that she knows everything, that she's going to leave. There's no way someone should deal with how you really are. So how can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You think for a second, and the answer you come up with fills you despair. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this, but I don't know that you can do anything. I think it's something I just have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live with it with you. I don't know how you could possibly love me. Sheila rolls over and wraps her arms around your neck, laying her out on top of yours. You don't need to. Just know that I do. No, you're crying. Shut up. I love you. I love you a lot.
Oh, you too.
No, you're crying. Friday night, and you're laying across your bed feeling pathetic. As you're leaving work tonight, a group of coworkers asked if you want to join them for drinks. Feeling antisocial and put on the spot, you declined. You have a habit of doing this. You're often so convinced that you are weird and terrible that any invitation to hang out will end in disappointment for those inviting you. You never feel like you know how to act in group outings, and you feel like a total creep since it comes so naturally to anyone who isn't you. Find yourself petrified of breaking some unknown social rule that you often don't go out. But now, however, you find yourself alone at home. Your brain's begun telling you how pathetic and sad you are for being unable to just be a normal person and go out with nice people. You can't figure out why you can't just go out and meet people and enjoy yourself. At the same time, you're also feeling like no one would possibly want you to hang out if they really knew you, because you're dull and weird anyway. You try your typical strategy to boot up Netflix and distract yourself from these feelings, but frustration with yourself builds, and you realize you have to do something else with your night. Anything else to take your mind off how awful lonely you are right now. What do you do?
Well, there's two clearly bad options there.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. Let's go with the safe option, the option that's definitely gonna be good. Drink. Where's the option for drink heavily? Well, I have a feeling if Alex wanted to see us tonight, we would have had plans made already. But she also made a point of being okay with it and asking us about it.
Mm-hmm.
That said, Attic is also a good friend, and we helped him out that one time.
And we haven't checked up with him since then, also.
True. But as nice as it would be to talk to him, I think it might not help. It might not help the big feelings of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Alex is around.
Okay.
Or would you rather see if Atticus is online?
I don't know.
I love you. I know decisions are hard. I will make a decision.
Okay.
We will call Alex.
Okay.
You dial Alex's phone number, figuring that if you could spend some time with her instead of being cooped up in your apartment alone, you might feel less isolated. Her phone rings a handful of times before going to voicemail. You know it's not uncommon for her to be out with friends at this hour. You leave a voicemail, but end up calling again 15 minutes later. Still no response. You imagine Alex out with her friends, much like you would be tonight if you weren't so horrible at socializing. Your mind wanders, and you start to wonder who she's with, if she might meet someone tonight she'd rather be with, someone who is able to go to parties like this with her instead of sitting at home feeling sorry for themselves. Why didn't she invite you? Have you just said no one too many times? How many other Fridays have you unknowingly missed? Begin to think that maybe it would be better if she met someone tonight. She's a wonderful woman. You feel like a constant joy kill on nights like this. Why can't you just be normal? Next morning, Alex calls you back. She tells you that her left her phone in class, spent a boring night in her apartment too. You feel horribly embarrassed about how emotional you'd gotten over mistaken assumptions the night before. Yeah, seems right. Yep. It's a cold Saturday afternoon. Just arrived at Alex's apartment. You're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedules not lining up due to work and school. You hug her on the door, but she breaks away sooner than normal and sits down on the couch as you take off your sneakers and lay them in the usual place, right next to hers. There's something I was hoping we could talk about, actually, she says. You instantly worry that you're being blindsided by a breakup conversation due to the sudden shift in tone, but she quickly smiles and puts you at ease once she sees all the color leave your face. It's nothing bad, I promise. With that, she leads you over to the couch and sits on the other end of it, facing you. So I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are going too fast, just tell me. She talks faster than usual, fidgets. You seem to have a lot of weeks like this, and they really suck. I was thinking I'd ask, since things are going so strong with us, what are your thoughts about moving in together? It takes a few seconds to sink in, and leaves you a bit shocked when it does. You're worried she wanted to spend this time with you, not more. Do you want to, you ask? Well, yeah, I do. I mean, we have to sort out logistics and everything, but those are all things we can take care of. Start to walk through the steps and imagine the two of you living together. You love the thought of being able to wake up next to her every day and seeing her so often. However, the more you picture it, the more a few concerns become apparent. There are things she's insulated from, like the days you don't feel like you can even get out of bed, the nights your medication keeps you from being able to sleep, all those moments you're stuck staring at the wall, completely out of energy and feeling nothing. How would she handle that? How quickly would she want to get away? So, she starts, what do you think?
We should be honest.
Yep.
It's good to be honest.
You're really worried that if Alex were to live with you, she wouldn't be able to deal with your days of being unable to get out of bed, or nights where you can do nothing but stare at the wall and panic. Even though you've discussed your situation with her, you still fear that she doesn't realize the depths of how bad it gets. It's one thing for you to detail to her how you feel sometimes, and for her to see it pop up occasionally. It's an entirely different situation to be something she has to live with alongside you. Well, I'd like to, but I think it's best if we talk a bit before committing to a decision. Though she seems a little defeated, you make it clear that you're not making excuses that actually mean that you want to talk. You reiterate a lot of what you told Alex that night, and although she gets a little defensive, it tells you that she knows all of that already. She confirms that she's willing to help you sort through your issues. I feel like you forget I love you sometimes. I know that there will be bad days when I'd rather try to work through them with you. We can figure all this out together. Aww. Her nice words sway you, and you can't help but hold her closer to you.
Nice.
Aww. December, you return to your parents' house to celebrate the holidays with family. At the living room window, you can see a gentle flurry of snow drifting down to meet the pristine blanket of white from yesterday's unexpected Christmas Eve snowfall.
Fuck, it's a Christmas game.
God damn it! Everything's
so
a Christmas
much
game.
Christmas.
Is this game Cyberpunk too?
Probably.
It's secretly Cyberpunk, I know it. And you quietly laugh to yourself at how incredibly cliche it all seems. Still, as you sit down to dinner, you can't help but notice how being surrounded by family, the overly kitschy atmosphere your mom's decorations have created, have actually made you feel relaxed and almost comfortable. Your mom is running around frantically checking the oven and the stockings and just generally trying to family time it up. Your dad sits at the head of the table drinking a beer and laughing with your brother Malcolm. His wife Karen is there too, whom we've always gotten along well with. As you thoughtfully munch away at your turkey, listening to the conversations around you, your thoughts drift back over the last few months. Think about how hard things had gotten, replaying it over in your head, some of your worst, as well as some of your best memories. It seems like all these things just came to a head over the past few months with a sudden flurry of relationship turmoil and professional anxiety, social stress, and above all, an omnipresent sense of weight that seems you have just recently become aware of. You're drawn out of your reverie by your dad's familiar booming laugh as some cheesy moment Malcolm made seems to have hit its mark. Sitting at the table, you're suddenly immensely glad for the chance to be able to ignore everything for an evening and not have to struggle trying to explain yourself for once. Fortunately, everyone seems to be content with laughing at each other's jokes and discussing favorite sports teams, and for a while you think you'll be able to get through dinner without any embarrassing personal intrusions. But no sooner did the thought cross your mind than the table conversation trickles off, leaving a slightly awkward silence to descend upon the dinner. So how are you doing these days? Your mom asks you pointedly. Such a simple question, and one that you seem to have had to answer countless times recently. Take a moment to collect your thoughts, then looking up, you take a deep breath. Well... You never really thought of yourself as a fighter, and even to say it now sounds hokey. But looking back on the past few months to where you are now, it really does feel like you've endured an immense struggle. You look at where you are now with a sense of something that isn't quite pride. You still hate your job and find it unpleasant, but you're surprised to find that going back to work every day is no longer a monumental challenge. You started adopting some clever techniques, like taking short 2-minute breaks every hour to break up the monotony. Now you view your job as just 8 short hours of your day, a compartmentalization technique Dr. Melville told you about, but you've actually found works quite well. You know this job isn't what you want to do with the rest of your life. You've actively started looking for other positions, even attending a couple of preliminary interviews. Started making effort to go out with your friends more. While the social scene still makes you very uncomfortable sometimes, you're more and more able to let yourself just enjoy the company of your friends. In fact, your relationship with many of them has increased over the past little while. You definitely have days where you flake out or don't feel up to hanging out, but for the most part your friends are understanding and appreciate your communication. By far the biggest change you've noticed in your life has been your relationship with Alex. You're terrified of talking to her about everything at first, but looking back you feel like it's only strengthened your relationship. She was always supportive of you emotionally, but lately the two of you have been even more in sync, and it's really just start to feel like you're building a life together. It even seems like the two of you have been taking more concerted effort to sync up your schedules and spending many more and more of your downtime with each other. Pretty soon you think moving in together may be a very real possibility. Dr. Melville has commented on how well you seem to be doing, and whether a result of the therapy, the medication, or both, you can't help but agree. With all that seems to have improved recently, it's sometimes difficult for you to think about the fact that you still have bad days. Sometimes even really bad days. Serve as a stark reminder that the fact this will be something you likely have to deal with for the rest of your life. Depression is a battle, and though you're certainly ahead in the fight, you know the battle isn't ever going to be over. Sometimes even Alex can tell when things are going rough despite your best efforts to the contrary. While you know that your depression can never be cured, you have a very strong support network in your friends and even Malcolm, armed with a newfound confidence in your friends and family. Except that the road ahead may be rocky, but it's at the very least not solitary. You meet your mom's gaze from across the table and muster up a smile. I'm good, Mom, you tell her. She says nothing, but you can feel her smile from across the room. That
game is sad.
Yeah. Oh, that second paragraph is super important. Like, yeah, it's a game and the game has to end and there has to be some kind of narrative resolution, but depression is just kind of a thing that keeps happening, that you keep having to deal with. And you get better at it, but it's still there. Well, that was fun. I'm gonna go soak in a hot shower and I don't know. You can't see me crying. Shut up. Oh man, that is a phenomenal game.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like that they nailed the particular series of feelings and emotions that come with being depressed, and that this is probably one of the best depictions of it I've ever experienced.
It's also an interesting exercise in how games don't necessarily have to be fun.
No, they don't.
This wasn't fun by any means, because it isn't meant to be.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a punch in the emotional gut.
And not in like...
About...
Go ahead.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh.
I was just kind of trailing off.
And it's not like a emotional gut punch like it is when you're playing fucking like The Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah.
Where like it's an emotional gut punch, sure, but you still have a story, you know, like this grand story with some kind of resolution and you're left feeling good about it afterwards. It's just a punch in the gut over and over.
Because that's what it feels like sometimes, and it's trying to get that across.
Yeah, like more than any other game we've played, I feel like this really understands what it's like to be depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I was joking about him earlier, but the only other things I found that come kind of close to that, like if you watch the TV show BoJack Horseman on Netflix, it's a half-hour sitcom, and so it's, you know, it's got funny moments, but especially around season 2 onwards, the show does a fantastic job of kind of analyzing what makes a person depressed, what it's like living with that, and how they try to move past it, or if they can. And NGE that we mentioned earlier, which completely I missed the first time because I don't know, I'm a tool. Anyway,
What kind? A hammer? A power screwdriver?
I'm a spanner.
Nice.
That's right, spanner in the works. Any other final thoughts you want to give? Recommendations?
I don't know.
I feel like we need to go play a deliriously happy game now.
I don't think we have any of those.
Shit.
Wait, no.
Candy bar?
What?
Do you want a candy bar? I've got candy bars stashed away in the freezer.
Nice.
I was lying about the $5.
Oh.
Hey, thank you all for joining us if you made it this far.
Yep.
I know it was heavy, but for real, a lot of the steps that it lays out in here are good things you can do to help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the best at dealing with depression, myself in particular. But we both kind of make our way through it.
Yep.
Wow. Great ending. See you next time when we play Happy Game, trademark, by Happy Corp.
Happy games only.
Happy games only. Bye.
Bye.
Alright, seriously, I need fucking chocolate right now.